Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge, and it is Vergilla Day. This starter deck is like one of the best, it is the best starter product Bridgeport has put out since like the Legend decks in G. So I wanted to do a little unboxing for it and like talk about what makes this such a good starter product. The Shiki one is also really good, but I don't really plan on playing Assassin, so I didn't pick up that one. However, I picked up 4 of the Vergilla one because of a certain reprint. So let's get into it. So one of the really great things about this deck off the bat is that it has a bunch of good reprints for Vergilla, but you'll get a triple rare foil grade 3 Vergilla in the ride line, which I don't think there was a way to get before. But in addition to that, you'll get 2 other random triple rare foil cards, which makes it fun to open. That's something that can be always really great to have in your starter deck, making it fun to open in little random ways like that. And this is like the first way to get certain cards in triple rare foiling. Like the base energy generator, this is the first way, I'm pretty sure. As well as like the entire Vergilla ride line. Shenri, which has a reprint in here. I believe this is also the first way to get that in triple rare foiling. So that's all pretty cool. So for reprints, we of course have our full playset of the Vergilla ride line plus Vergilla himself. We have 4 copies of Vanguard, very critical card for the deck. You only really need 2 of them, but still very important. 3 Ezra, okay. 4 Inductance Dragon. This card doesn't really get played. It's when placed from hand, you can solo as 1. Look top 7 for a ultimate skill. And if you have a grade 3 or greater Vergilla Vanguard, it gets boost. Since Alpha Knight just searches out the ultimate skills, there's really no reason to run this card. Then we have 4 copies of N-Wing. This is the first of our new cards. So N-Wing is fantastic. N-Wing is super, super good. It is a 10k Vanguard, 10k grade 2. Blah, blah, blah. When it's placed on rear, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vergilla Vanguard, you can Energy Blast 3 and choose one of your opponent's rear guards and bind it. And then auto rear, when your Ezra attacks, it gets plus 5k power. That isn't once per turn, so if Ezra attacks multiple times, it becomes 20k. And then if you have a grade 3 or greater Vergilla Vanguard, it gets plus 10k shield. So this is effectively going to be like, this effectively acts as like extra copies of your Ezra's, in that it's also a 15k power unit like Ezra, and it also shields for 15k. It also has that really useful bind effect, which allows you to get multiple binds off in a single turn. So you can go like bind both of your opponent's Yuga Mashads, or bind a Yuga Mashad and a Trick Moon, or like against Heartluru, it lets you bind the Shark to take it out of play, while also still being able to bind the Block Horse. Lots of really, really useful stuff that this enables. Very, very nice card. Like it a lot. It also, like, the power gain effect works in the early game, so this is another card that you can, this is a card you can commit early alongside your Ezra for another easy 23k column. Super nice, super, super nice. It is not Galaxian, however, so you cannot search it off of Alpha Knights, but it is grade 2, so you can get it off of Shooting Star Vergilla's effect. So you'll typically, in Japanese lists, you've typically seen this card at 1 or 2 copies. This is another piece of why Dino Fest is so useful in Vergilla. Like, Dino Fest is a good card in general, but like we've seen a card like Dino Fest before. Brantgate had this in DZ2, which shoved itself to Soul End of Battle to look top 5 for a grade 2 or greater, or a set order. And like this kind of card is pretty useful. However, it does have an issue in that because it can only get grade 2 or greaters, it can't really get anything that's useful defensively. But that doesn't apply to Vergilla at all, because it has Ezra's grade 2s with 15k shield, and it has now N-Wings as well, another grade 2 with 15k shield. That I can grab off that for a good defensively useful card, as well as the pieces that are grade 2 or greater that I want to be finding with Dino Fest. So just very, very nice. Then we have the one of Shenri reprint. This is super nice. I really appreciate the Shenri reprint in here, and there's a what's it called? The when placed from hand, look top 5, dump 1 plus NK if you have 10 or more in your drop. I literally cannot remember its name off the top of my head for some reason. But this Shenri reprint is very nice. It's why I got 4 of it, because it's literally like the same price to buy 4 Shenri as it would be to just buy 4 of this starter. So like, I'll just get the starter. Yeah, super, super nice. Card's super good in this deck because you're always playing in order. Then we have the second new card, which is Flare Cosmore. So in the drop zone, when your Ezreal is placed on rear, you can counterblast 1 to call it to a back row rear in the same column. And if that unit was placed by the ability of your Vanguard with Vergilla in its name, the cost is reduced by counterblast 1. So if you revived Vergilla off of revived an Ezreal off of Vergilla's effect, you just get this body for free. And then it does the main thing that original Cosmore did, which was when you're in the back row, when your unit with Ezreal in his card name stands during the battle phase, you stand this. Notably, like base Ezreal, like base Cosmore, this does not need to be in the same column as Ezreal to restand. So like if you can have like a setup with 2 of these in the back row and your standard Ezreal Fanfare setup, and you can boost a Fanfare on the first swing, and this Cosmore will stand as well, which is very, very nice. Super solid. Because this also works in the early game if you have an Ezreal, this is also like makes it easier for you to fill up your board on turn 2 to turn on the crit of Shooting Star Vergilla, which is also super nice. And it's like the first really good like discard fodder card the deck has gotten. Like Fanfare is a decent discard fodder card, but if you're going first, you might want to keep it in hand if you draw into it. Same with the ultimate skills, but this is just super nice to be able to discard. And those sorts of cards are something I always really value. For base PG, unfortunately, it's not the effect PGs. One of the only like flaws of this start deck, you will need to pick up like proper PGs. Then we have Drake Vita, of course. Vanilla crits, vanilla draws, 3 vanilla fronts, 4 vanilla heals. Let's just put these over here because we have some orders to go through. Then we have Stardust Blade, and we have the third new card, Blazing Starcross, a new ultimate skill. This is probably the actual biggest deal out of the support from this trial deck. So, so before, the deck always had an issue where to do its big turns, it had to spend 2 counterblasts because it needed a counterblast for Alpha Knight's restand, but also needed a counterblast for Stardust Blade. And Stardust Blade is very strong. However, it's very appreciated to have an option that does not cost counterblast, which Blazing Starcross does. Blazing Starcross is a grade 2 ultimate skill that costs Soul Blast 1 if you have a Vanguard with Vergilla in its card name. You choose an Ezreal unit, and until end of turn, it gets power plus 10k. And then if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, it gets auto rear when this unit stands by the ability of your Vergilla Vanguard. If your opponent's bind zone has 3 or more cards, or you Persona Road this turn, this unit gets critical +1 until end of turn. This is another part of why getting extra binds from N-Wing is pretty important, because this means even if you don't Persona Ride on your turn 4, N-Wing enables you to get your opponent's bind to 3 or more to turn this on regardless. And getting a crit gain on that Ezreal on the side is so strong. This also means that you can completely operate off of 1 counterblast as long as you have a Blazing Starcross in rotation, aka you didn't damage it. So like it's just super, super nice. And then all of these decks also have a Regalis piece reprint. So this one is not so good. The Shiki one comes with a very nice twin cast reprint. Super nice. But this one comes with Union of the Sky. Of course it does. Union of the Sky is literally a card that Zero uses in the manga. So of course it's always going to be Union of the Sky in his start deck. And it's Union of the Sky. Like there might be some decks at some point that use this, but like it's hard to justify this over Twin Cast or Fire Regalis. And then our other foils are a 5th Fanfare? What? A 5th Fanfare? That's weird. But we got a Fanfare foil and an energy generator foil. This is one of the ones I really wanted because like it's as I said, it's the first way to get the energy generator in triple rare, the base energy generator in triple rare foil. So I was actually really hoping for this one. So I'm really glad to see this one. So we're gonna pause real quick, and then we're gonna briefly go through the pulls from the other start decks. All right, here we are. So here goes the first one. Foil Vergilla, of course. It is not an all foil. So the other foils were at the back, and it's grade 1 Vergilla and Blazing Starcross. Very nice. Also, let's check something real quick. Okay, yeah. My first start deck I opened was a misprint. So you are supposed to get 4 Ezreals. I saw that 5th Vanguard. I was like, okay, I feel like this is a misprint because like it wouldn't make sense for you to get 5 Vanguards. The foils are supposed to just replace a copy you would get in the main deck. So you do get 4 Ezreal unless you get a rare misprint like I got. Very strange. But yeah, we got grade 1 Vergilla, Blazing Starcross for our random foils. That's very nice. Those are super good foils to hit. And ones from this one. Energy Generator, Fanfare. Those are super nice foils to hit. Then we've got Vergilla is not all foil. Flare Cosmore. Ooh, and yeah, this is one of the other things you can hit here. You can find a nationless critical trigger of Zero Tendo, which looks very nice. Flare Cosmore and the Zero Tendo crit, very nice pulls. And then we have grade 3 Vergilla, non all foil, and it's Drake Vita and Heal. All right, not so great on that last one, but the first 3 were super good, so I'm very happy with this. Yeah, these are fantastic pulls. That's what makes these start decks so fun. Like you really don't need much to turn this into a good Vergilla deck. You really just need the Elf Knights. You just need the 4 copies of Elf Knights. I think that's going for like $20 on TCG Player right now. If you're in the States at least, like there's a lot on the market at the moment. It's a bit harder for me in Canada, but you know, you mainly need that. Variance Ray is useful, but definitely not necessary now. You want Normans is one of the big things you do want for sure. And you want real PGs. You want the full playset of Shenri probably. And which you can just get by getting 4 of the start deck. And what else would there be? That's like really it that you need. There's some other cool tech stuff you can do. Like I've really been a fan recently of this Hakusui build, the Dragon Empire Storisha Dual Nation unit that can Counterblast 1 to give plus 5k to every card called by an ability that turn, or give plus 10k to your Vanguard, and also creates a plant token. So creating the plant token for free, it creates that without the Counterblast, so that's really good for setting up 4 units for grade 2 Vergilla's crit gain effect. And then between Flare Cosmore, Vergilla's Revive, and Elf Knight calling a card, as well as potentially Stardust Blade calling a card, you will have a lot of cards on your board that were called by effects, that can be called by effects on that turn. And because of that, you can get a lot of power spread on your board with Hakusui, which is very nice. I like that card a lot. Only works when called from hand, so you can't like revive it off of Vergilla's effect to get that to go off. But it's still very cool tech that I'm glad to be seeing finding some success in Japan, and I'm excited to try it out for myself. Hakusui itself is like also really cheap. It's like $1 after its reprint in the last festival booster. So you can pick that up for super cheap and try out that build, which is very cool. Yeah, that's going to be it for me today. With that said, this is Hunter Surge signing off.